What is up, guys? Chuck here. Welcome back to the garage. Today we're going to just make a quick video talking about the lift. I'm going to answer a bunch of questions that I always get ever since I installed it. So yeah, let's just get kind of a lift FAQ. Let's do it. So 6 months ago, I installed the BendPak HD9ST. I'll put this information in the description. I installed it in this kind of relatively normal sized two-car garage. Just a suburban neighborhood, normal suburban garage. It's been 6 months, so let me answer a few questions now that I've lived with it and really kind of give you guys the information you might need if you want to do this yourself. So a major question I always get is, what did this cost? Sounds expensive. It's kind of expensive, but not as expensive as a lot of people may think. The lift itself is, again, the BendPak HD9ST. It's $2,800, $2,850. So $2,850. That includes shipping. That's all in for the lift. If you want extra accessories, etc., it's going to cost you more. Then you have to account for installation if you can't do it yourself. Installation of this lift with the guy I used was $800. $800 included, he accepted delivery of the lift, brought it to my house, set it up, installed it, filled it with fluid. I did nothing. Literally paid him $800. When I ordered the lift, I gave them his address. He did everything. And then I had a lift in my garage. Some extra expenses that you may not think about. I had to raise my garage door, so I had to do a high lift garage door kit. Let's see if you can see that. See how now it goes all the way to the ceiling instead of just turning right here. So a high lift garage door kit with installation also cost me $700. It's a lot of money, but those guys do it every day. I didn't have the time to come out here and fiddle with it. It's really not that hard, but it cost me $700. The last expense I had with this lift is about a month ago, so 5 months or so after I bought it, I decided to have it anchored to the floor. So let's see if I can show it to you. There's now bolts in the floor here, so concrete anchors go through that and hold it into the floor. We can discuss that in a few minutes, why I decided to do that, but that cost me $250. It would have been cheaper if I had it done when the lift was initially installed, but it's not required, and I wanted to figure out if it was extra money that I actually wanted to spend. So that was an additional $250. So what size is this garage? It's pretty actually below average in overall dimension, but it does have above average ceiling height. So it's roughly 19 by 19 in the length and width columns, but it is 11 feet tall. So 11 feet is definitely, you're gonna need the height. You don't necessarily need super wide with the more modern narrow lifts. Why did I go with this model, and what is the dimensions of it? This is one of the narrowest lifts you can get, and narrow is good for this kind of narrow garage. Wide is good for getting big cars on it, but this lift is roughly 100 inches wide, including the motor. So be careful when you look at other lifts. They'll give you the overall width, but then you have to add an extra 8, 10, 12 inches for the motor to hang off the one side. This lift, the motor, I don't know if you can see it, hangs on the inside of the column there. So a lot of lifts will throw the motor on the outside here. This one hangs on the inside of the column, so it doesn't add any extra width. I'll put the link to the manual for this lift down in the description, but overall height and width and everything will matter. You should pay attention how big your car is, whether it will fit. I will tell you that the two largest vehicles I've had on here, largest meaning like width really, I put the Forester on here clearly, but that was no issue. I've had a Dodge Charger on this lift, and I've had a 535 with the M Sport package on this lift. So both of those were about to the edge of the capacity width-wise of this lift. You basically can't fit, or almost can't fit, a vehicle on here that's going to beat the overall lifting capacity of the lift. It's a 9,000 pound lift. So if you have a very narrow and super heavy car, maybe you'll reach that, but most of my cars don't even come close to half of that capacity. Why did I get a 4-post lift instead of a 2-post lift? I get this question constantly, and the answer is pretty simple. This lift is used 90% of the time for storing the M3, right? M3 track project, I don't drive it that much. 90% of the time, it's just used to store it up there. 10% of the time, I use it for working on the M3 or working on the STI or working on the Forester XT or whoever, friends' cars, etc. 4-post lift is designed to be able to store vehicles on it and leave them stored on it. 2-post lift is not ideal for that. Two-post lift, nobody is gonna argue with, is much better for working on the cars. That's why when you go to shops, everybody has two-post lifts because all they do is lift the car up, work on it, put the car back down. If you wanna do long-term storage of a car, most people do not recommend two-post lifts. Not to mention, if you notice, the columns of this are at the four corners of the car. Arguably more stable, but two-post lifts, columns go right in the center, or the offset ones roughly in the center. In a two-car garage like this, that means the post has to be directly in the center of your garage, which means getting around it is annoying, getting in and out of cars is annoying. It's just not ideal in this small of environment. What do I have to do to my garage to get it ready for the lift? Very little. So if you may have to lift the garage door like we talked about earlier. Most builder grade slabs are okay for this style lift. I think the minimum requirements is 4 inches of, I don't know, X number of strength, tensile strength, or whatever, however they measure concrete strength. It's in the documentation below, but this has not been prepared. This floor has not been prepared. It is builder grade in this area, and it is adequate. You do not need a special outlet. You can get these in the 120 volt or whatever the standard household plug is for North America. That's what this lift is. It just increases the lift time a tiny bit. Not crazy. Instead of 45 seconds to the top, it's like a minute and a half or something. If you want to, you can get the heavier duty motor, and it will increase or decrease your lift time. But really, that's it. As long as your garage will fit it, and you got the clearance, you got a standard plug within close by the lift. The one thing that this lift does require is an air compressor. Let's talk about that real quick. An air compressor, what do we need an air compressor for? This lift is designed with automatic safety locks. As the height lifts on the lift itself, there are little ladders inside these columns where basically little bars lock in case a cable breaks or whatever. It's always going to be supported by the little ladder inside this bar. To release those safety locks, you need air pressure. So some lifts have just a little manual bar you pull and it'll undo all four. This one requires the air compressor to actually push on and release those locks. So you won't need a compressor, you don't need something huge. Specs again, once in the PDF below, but you do require that if you want to buy the bend pack. Why did I decide to go with the bend pack? Well, first off, it's the narrowest one I could find. This is not a very wide garage, as we discussed. Narrow is good, because I don't have any super wide cars. Secondly, bend pack's a big name. There's a lot of people who will service them. You can easy to find parts. I like the airlock automatic safety system, and just overall quality seemed good. A lot of good reviews, so I decided to go with bend pack. I don't have any affiliation with them. Will this fit in your garage? I don't know. My advice is you get the dimensions from the PDF below. I plotted it out in painter's tape on the floor of my garage before I had it installed. Made sure my wife could live with driving in and out around the painter's tape post. Made sure we had enough room, etc. The only thing I can tell you is make sure you measure your ceiling height, the height of your vehicle, the height of your vehicle that's going to be going on the bottom, height of this ramp, and then add, I don't know, probably 6 to 10 inches of just kind of forgiving space so you can know, will the car fit over top of the other car? Will I hit the ceiling? That kind of stuff. Something that I get asked all the time is, Chuck, how do you work on the car? You can't take the wheels off. And I would say to you, false. You can take the wheels off, you just have to be, it's a little bit harder than having a two-post lift where you just pick it up and the wheels sag and you can take it off. You can do a few things. They sell, it's $1,200, they sell a rolling bridge jack. Google that if you don't know what it is, that fits in the center, rolls up and down, will lift the car by, if you have like frame rails or a subframe or whatever you want to do on the inside kind of pinch welds. I think they'll reach out and reach the pinch welds. It'll lift it. You also have what I have. Let me show you really quick. I have in the center here, this is a jack tray. Basically, it can slide the length of the lift and provides a surface. It's kind of hard to see in there. Provides a surface for you to put bottle jacks or a scissor jack inside to lift from the center. The other option you had, which I've shown in a video before, is this platform's like really wide, 20 some inches wide, 22 inches wide, something like that. So you can actually use a jack straight on this platform, depending on how low your car is, etc. I use basically a scissor jack on here plenty of times, no issues. So the answer is it's doable. It's definitely not as easy as having a 2-post lift. If you want to spend the extra $1,200, you can get the rolling bridge jack. I'm actually looking into options. That one's air powered. I just kind of want to get a manual powered one. They make them, other companies have them, $400 or $500, but I don't know if it'll fit this lift. So if you know, please let me know. And as soon as I know, I'll let you know. But yeah, it's totally doable. You can take the wheels off. If you watch the video, when I did the oil pan on the M3, the wheels were up. It was on jack stands, just the front half on jack stands on the ramps. It was awesome. I put it up and down a bunch. Worked out great. Chuck, I don't want to store my oil leaking, power steering leaking, brake fluid leaking car on top of my other one because I don't want the paint to get damaged. Believe it or not, they came up with this thing called drip trays, which is plastic trays that fit in the center. They slide the length. They're $50 for a set of 2. I think you need 4 if you really wanted to cover the whole thing. I just have basically the front half covered, then I have like kind of a makeshift one back here. But yeah, believe it or not, they sell drip trays that will prevent your vehicle from leaking on your other vehicle. All right, why did I decide to get it bolted to the floor? These lifts do not require being bolted to the floor. It's just the design of the lift. It sounds crazy. A lot of people didn't like that when I didn't get it bolted down originally. But they don't have to be bolted to the ground. They're stable, they're on all 4. What I didn't like, there is a little bit of movement. There's a little bit of play because there's a little bit of, what do you call it? Unevenness in the bottom of the column and the concrete, etc. So there's a little bit of play in the columns. It never tipped over, thought about tipping over, felt like it was gonna tip over, but for the peace of mind, I just decided it was worth the extra $250 for them to come back out, bolt it down. I don't have to lay awake at night sleeping about it. I don't have to come in the garage and think about, oh, what happens if we bump into it with the car? I don't have to think about any of that, earthquake, all that stuff going through my mind. I don't have to think about it anymore. It's bolted down, it's good. All right, lastly, has it been annoying to live with? No, I love it. Every day I come out here and I have my M3 in the garage and my STI in the garage, and my wife is not upset because her car is in the garage. It's a great day. I've used it multiple times to work on the M3 and the STI and the Forester. We've changed oil on it. I did pulled the subframe out, did the oil pan on the M3, did a bunch of work on it. Just that alone probably saved me over $1,000 in labor. So I think eventually the lift will pay for itself. Plus it's inside, protected, not getting rained on, not getting snowed on. No kids are kicking basketballs into it and doing weird stuff like they do outside here. So has it been worth it? Yes. Does my wife hate it? No, she does not. She doesn't really spend much time out here, but she does pull in and out, park, put the kids in the car, do everything around this that she needs to. Not once have I heard a complaint. For my Subaru friends, unrelated question, the Fortunatos will be going on very soon. All right, my friends, I appreciate you guys watching. Please like, please subscribe if you enjoyed. Love hearing from you guys. Please ask me questions. I'll be happy to answer them. Living with a lift, it's been great so far. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to buy the lift and share it with you guys. Supporting the channel helps us do cool things in this garage, and I love you every minute for it. So yeah, that's all I got for today. I hope you guys enjoyed. Hope I answered a little bit of your questions about the lift. You too can do it. It's not that expensive. It just takes a little bit of a commitment and some measuring out and stuff. All right. Well, I appreciate it, and I hope to see you guys soon. Install for the coilovers coming soon. BMW content, Subaru content. We got it all. Okay. See you next time. Bye bye.